What if your worst nightmare comes true? What if you actually reach the pinnacle of success and then lose everything? Let me tell you something that happened to me 13 years ago. I lost everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And here's the thing about losing your money. It's one thing to not have a lot of money and then lose that. It's another to be a super successful six-figure earner and then lose all of that, including my mind. Because when you're bougie and broke, then you become broke and broken. It is a different type of excruciating pain. So today I want to share with you what I learned about happiness after losing everything. I wasn't that happy. And here's the thing about happiness. We don't really know what that means. And I remember talking to a super successful lawyer a couple of years ago, and she said, I think that happiness is a moment. Now, after getting everything back and getting my mind right and aligning myself with the things that I want, happiness is always available to you, and happiness is a lifestyle. And I mean like the childlike happiness and the childlike faith. So if you think about kids being miserable for a long period of time, we would think that something was wrong with them. If you think about my nephew is 2. Now he has a little attitude sometimes, but for the most part, he's a happy kid. And if he was miserable all day for a day, my brother would think that something was wrong with the baby. The next day, a week of him never smiling and never laughing and just being miserable, they would take him to the doctor. And the doctor would say, there's nothing wrong with this kid. They've examined him. They ran the tests. They've done the blood work, and they've done everything to be able to figure out what does he have. And what if the doctor came back and said, well, he has an early onset of adulthood? Would they really accept that, or would they say, no, not my kid. I'm going to buy him things or tickle him or give him his favorite food or give him his favorite snacks. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with my baby because I don't want him to be a miserable baby. Now, here's the thing. When did it become an acceptable state of beingness for us to be miserable for years on end and nobody ever challenged it? In fact, people support it, and it's normal to be a miserable adult. It is normal to be a miserable leader. I mean, leadership is tough. If you want to pick up the mantle to be a leader, I pray for you, because we already know that it's not a popularity contest, but it is hard. Tal Ben-Shahar wrote a book called Happier, and he was a Harvard researcher, and he taught a class on happiness. So he had a 4-part model for what happiness means. The first model we want to talk about is the rat racer. The rat racer is typically somebody who lives in a present detriment for a future benefit. Rat racers are people who work, well, we used to think you could work 40 years and then retire. So the 40 years that you work, you are absolutely miserable. Year after year after year. Gallup reports that over 80% of people around the world dislike their jobs. So most people in the world are rat racers. A rat racer will give up the best parts of their years to then live the better part of their latter years. And as you know, a lot of us don't make it. And sometimes we're too sick to even enjoy the retirement. I mean, y'all, we see this again and again and again. The wheelchair line at Southwest is off the chain, and these are the people who are finally ready to live their lives after they've retired. But we spent the better part of our adulthood chasing security or chasing this illusion of being free when we could potentially have that in the moment. So again, a rat racer is someone who lives in a present detriment for a future benefit. A hedonist is someone who lives in a present benefit for a future detriment. That would be somebody like Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff was getting paid his money. He was living it up. Now, the future detriment was it didn't really go that well for him. So anybody that you see that's doing things for a present benefit, whether it's good or bad, but then it becomes a future detriment, that is what a hedonist is. A nihilist is someone who lives in a present detriment for a future detriment. These are people, I would say, like a prostitute. Like the stuff that you're doing today ain't that good, girl. And then you're doing it tomorrow, it's not going to be that good. So people who do things for a present detriment and a future detriment is a nihilist. Now, the happiness model is the things that you do today for a present benefit also have a future benefit. Very few people live in the happiness model. Here's the thing. If you're a rat racer, cool. Even entrepreneurs are rat racers because entrepreneurs will give up everything. Don't let these Instagram people lie and tell you that you can get rich selling an ebook and make $100,000 a month. It's not true. But if you have to be a rat racer, what can you do in the present moment to offset some of the unhappiness? What can you do in the present moment to offset some of the misery? And here's the thing. Entrepreneurship is tough. You have to be a special kind of crazy to be an entrepreneur. Even the people who are out in Silicon Valley, they always make it seem like they're all making millions and millions of dollars. But the suicide rate in Silicon Valley is off the charts. They don't even talk about it with regards to the founders and how much money they're making and they're being pushed to make for these companies. So if you're miserable in this present moment because you're chasing a future benefit, what are some of the things that you can do that bring you joy? What are some of the things that you can do that's going to make that worth it in the end? So when I read this book, I was still in my career at the time and I was just miserable. And I didn't know until I read the definition of happiness. I was like, oh my God, I'm miserable. This sucks. I like to talk to young kids. So I would go to the high school. Granted, I would be at my desk at 11 o'clock at night because I went to go spend some time with them. But I would go and I would speak to the young kids and inspire them to be greater. That brought me tremendous joy. And I would talk to the people who work with me and I would mentor all these people. And that became great. But what gave me a huge boost in knowing that what I was doing was worth it, I went and talked to and inspired young kids to be better. What's your thing? Do you love to bake? Do you love to write poetry? Do you want to write a book? Do you like to swim in the ocean with the dolphins? Do you want to swim with the sharks? What is your artistic expression and what do you love to do? And I encourage you to tap into that more as you're going along your journey of life and choose to be happier in the moment because this moment is all we have. I encourage you to understand and to know, coming back from the brink of the bottom of the abyss after falling off the Grand Canyon, that one, if you're going through challenges right now, this too shall pass. If you're going through something right now, if you learn how to keep your wits about you and focus on the things that you want to make you happy and getting into alignment with that, focus on your mental and your physical health, your emotional health and your spiritual health, it will come back. And be grateful for the smallest things. God doesn't give you what you want. He gives you what you have room for. How can God bless you with more miracles when you're not thankful for the 100,000 miracles that have shown up in your life all the time? I hope this information has been useful to you. Like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And let me know if y'all want me to unpack the other 10 things that I learned after I lost everything. Take care and we'll see you in the next episode.